Sauce Gardner.
Sauce Gardner is a New York Jet!
Swaggy Sauce Gardner.
I love Sauce. I love his tape. I love his press technique. I love his confidence. He has everything you want to see in the position. And I think Robert Saleh in this scheme is perfect. It's a hand-in-glove fit for him, man.
Garrett Wilson.
It's Garrett Wilson! The New York Jets have just got two big-time playmakers!
I believe that Garrett Wilson is going to be the most impactful rookie receiver in this class. And I think we see Zach Wilson play like he did the last 6 games of the year, times 10, and have a phenomenal second season.
Wow, you think? Yeah! Yeah! Let's Jermaine Johnson!
Brees Hall, running back, Iowa State.
Brees Hall, oh my God, they got him! They went offense. They went with the best running back in the draft. Jeremy Rucker, oh my God! The Long Island native is a New York Jet! J-E-T-S, Jet! Let's go! Yo, what is going on, Jets Nation? Welcome back to another Jets Media live stream. And today we're going to be previewing the Jets and Bengals Week 3 matchup that kicks off at 1 p.m. Eastern Time at MetLife Stadium. The New York Jets are coming off a phenomenal victory over the Cleveland Browns. Next up is another AFC North matchup, and that being against the 0-2 Cincinnati Bengals. So in this video, we're going to dive deep into the matchup, go into the keys of victory. What do the Jets need to do in order to get this dub? Who are some X factors that needs to step up in order for the Jets to pull off this win? Because you know that the Jets are going to be the underdogs in this game, even though they're 1-1 and the Bengals are 0-2. But to be frank with you guys, I really like the way that the Jets match up against this Cincinnati Bengals team. I really do. Now, we cannot underestimate these Bengals. Just because they're 0-2 does not mean that they're not the AFC champions that they were last year. They should have beat the Steelers week 1. They lost of a lot of different ways with special teams and overtime. It was a really funky game. And then week 2, they lost to Cooper Rush. And now they got Joe Flacco defending home turf. And also, don't forget what happened last year at MetLife Stadium against the Cincinnati Bengals. It was the Mike White game. Mike White puts out 400 yards on the Bengals last year and got them that W. So you know that the Bengals are going to want to come here and prove everybody wrong and get their revenge at MetLife Stadium. So I think that this is a really, really big matchup for the New York Jets because they have a big opportunity to go 2-1 on the season. This is not going to be an easy game. This is not going to be an easy matchup, because the Bengals are a very well-coached team. They are an extremely talented team. But I think we all know what's been going wrong with the Bengals, which is why I think that this Jets team right here matches up well against them. The Bengals have been terrible at protecting Joe Burrow. He was sacked 7 times in week number 1. He was sacked 6 times in week number 2. All offseason, Jets fans have been praising the Jets' front 7 and their pass rush. They have not really broke out just yet. They went up against a really good offensive line and a really great quarterback in Lamar Jackson week 1. And they go up against a great offensive line in week 2, and they're not able to get to the quarterback as consistently as we'd like. This is the opportunity for this Jets team for their pass rush to unlock. We saw last year a couple flashes of it. They had 7 sacks against the Tennessee Titans last year. I think the Jets need to get 4 sacks minimum in this game. I personally do not think there's no excuse for this Jets pass rush to not get home. I'm talking to you, Carl Lawson, Quinnen Williams, John Franklin Myers, Jermaine Johnson, all the dogs up front. This is Carl Lawson's revenge game. Let's see him step up to the occasion. I think the Jets have a chance here. So shout out to everybody tuning into the live stream. If you guys are watching it live or you're watching it on replay, I greatly appreciate you tuning into the Jets Media live show. Please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button if you did not already, so we can get as many Jets fans in here as possible. Really do appreciate all the support here on the channel, of course. We have the first donation from EM Baller. Bengals head coach and offensive line is trash right now. Good luck, Jets. Yeah, I really think the Jets got to exploit the weakness of their offensive line. This is why I feel like the biggest X factor is if the New York Jets defense wants to take over this game, they have every single opportunity. Because if you give Joe Burrow an opportunity to sit back in the pocket and give him time, they have Jamar Chase. They have T. Higgins. They have Joe Mixon out of the backfield. They have playmakers. And I like the way the secondary has been playing, but the truth is, if you allow Joe Burrow time in the pocket, most likely he's going to pick apart the defense based off what we saw last year from Joe Burrow. So it's all about the Jets pass rush getting home, and I'm excited to break down everything about this Jets franchise against the Bengals in this stream. Andrew says, Richie, that pylon show stuff was so cringe. I work in a middle school, and I see less forced laugh and unfunny demeaning jokes than that show. Yeah, man, that was definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. Appreciate it, Andrew. Jimmy with the $5 super chat. What's good, Jimmy? Appreciate you. One of the important key to victory is not to underestimate the Bengals. They may be 0-2, but they still went to the Super Bowl, so we can't give them an inch. I agree. We cannot underestimate this team, and that's how I started off the stream. Just because the Bengals are 0-2 does not mean that they're a bad team all of a sudden. The two games that they played against the Steelers and the Cowboys, they should have beat the Steelers, man. They should have beat the Steelers. And then the Cowboys, they lost to Cooper Rush. And they're a well-coached team. They have a good, solid defense, an extremely talented offense with a poor offensive line. So I think the biggest key to victory, and we're going to talk about it throughout this entire stream, is their offensive line struggling. Can the New York Jets take advantage of a struggling Bengals offensive line? That's what it's going to be all about. That's what this Jets team needs to do. So I really feel like the Jets need to make sure that they stay composed. They turn the page on that phenomenal win they had against the Browns, because they have a really big chance to prove to the NFL world that the New York Jets team is different this year, and this might be the final game of Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco's coming off you can't ask for a backup quarterback to put up better numbers than this. 307 yards and 4 touchdowns. Can he replicate that? We will find out. Before we get into the keys to victory and the Jets' X factors and getting deep into the Bengals and Jets flight preview, I want to talk about the sponsor of this live stream and the flight preview of the Jets media channel throughout the entire season, that being Prize Picks. So Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app that gives you an opportunity to create same-game parlays. And if you guys want to use my promo code JetsMedia down below in the description, they will match 100% of your deposit up to $100. You deposit $100, you get $100 for free. You deposit $25, they give you $25 for free. Now let's make a same-game parlay together all about the New York Jets. We did this last year, and I want to win some money with you guys. So please help me out, and let's make a same-game parlay on Prize Picks based on the New York Jets. Because I think I trust you guys in the chat. So Joe Flacco, 234 yards. We're going to click that one. Garrett Wilson, 45 yards. We're going to click that one. Breece Hall, 42.5 yards from scrimmage. We're going to click on that one. Michael Carter, 35.5 rushing yards. So how many we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. One more from the Jets. And we're going to pick the Jets sack total. So I personally think, Joe Flacco's coming off 2 games with 300-plus yards. So I'm definitely going to take the more on Joe Flacco, 234. Again, guys, if you want to join the fun here, click the link down below in the description, download Prize Picks, and use my code JetsMedia to get their promo. Garrett Wilson, he's 100% getting over 45.5 receiving yards. Breece Hall, 42.5 yards from the line of scrimmage. I think this is going to be Breece Hall's breakout game. Breece Hall is going to get fed the ball more and more as the season goes on, and I think this is his game. Michael Carter, rushing yards, only at 35.5. Now, Michael Carter did not have the greatest game on the ground last week, but Breece Hall did. So do you guys think Carter is going to get over on 35.5 rushing yards? Remember, Carter's best game of his career came against the Cincinnati Bengals last year. So I don't want to be that Jets fan that picks the over on everything just because I'm biased. I want to win some money. So should we stay away from Carter? Should we take less on his yards? What do you guys think? You know what? We're going to take Breece Hall's scrimmage yards away and do his rush yards because that's only at 27.5. That's a lock. So do you guys, I don't know, man. They're saying that these projections are pretty low. So I'm going to take the more. Now, the Jets getting 2.5 sacks. I'm taking the more on this because that's the key to victory. This is the key to victory. If the Jets don't get 3 or more sacks, we are doomed. So right now I have Joe Flacco more than 234 passing yards. I got Garrett Wilson more than 45.5 receiving yards. I have Michael Carter more than 35.5 rushing yards. The Jets getting more than 2.5 sacks and Breece Hall more than 27.5 rushing yards. Now, is that asking for too much to have both Carter getting over 35.5 rushing yards and Hall getting over 27.5 rushing yards? Should we take Carter away? I don't know. Now, should we take Carter away and pick Elijah Moore? Because I feel like Elijah Moore is destined to break out. So I'm considering taking away Carter here and bringing in Elijah Moore. What do you guys think of this? I don't want to be picking these just because I want them to do well. I want to win some money. I want to win some moolah. So I have 5 options here. You know what? We're going to place this. I like it. We're going to put $20 down. You know what? We're going to put $25 down to win $250. We need a Jets offensive barrage, baby. And a defensive barrage too. So we're going to place this bet. And next week, we're going to find out if this hit. All right. So that is the prize picks parlay that I'll be doing. Again, guys, if you want to join the party, click the link down below in the description. Use code JetsMedia to sign up today. They match 100% of your deposit up to $100. You put $100 down, they give you $100 for free. So I appreciate you guys helping out the channel, and shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring the flight preview here on Jets Media. If you guys use my code Jets Media, let me know in the chat, and I'll give you a shout out. All right, let's get the party started. We're going to start off with the Jets' keys to victory. Now, as we go over the Jets' keys to victory, everybody do your boy a favor and hit that thumbs up button if you did not already. How many likes we got so far? Let's find out. Are people supporting the channel or are they not? We got 28 likes with 63 people watching live. Please do me a favor, guys. Smash that like button right now before we go further into the Jets' keys of victory. Let's run up that like button. Let's get the 50 likes. Appreciate that. So, the first key to victory, we already talked about it on the stream. That is blitz and sack Burrow. The Jets have been relying a little too much on the 4-man rush for my liking. I want to see this Jets team blitz. We did have one key blitz in the red zone against the Browns that I did like to see. It was that play where Brandon Echols got subbed in for Sauce, and they sent Michael Carter on a blitz, and it forced Jacoby Brissett to throw the ball a little too quickly, which I like. Let's see more blitzing because we're relying too much on our 4-man rush, and the key to the system is to have 4 guys that can get to the quarterback, but unfortunately, that's not working. So if they can get to the quarterback with 4 men against this, bad Bengals offensive line, that's the best case scenario. Start off with the 4-man rush. If that's not getting home, you have to start blitzing because if you allow Joe Burrow any time in the pocket, more than likely, Jamar Chase is going to get open. I have a lot of trust in DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner and the secondary on the perimeter to get the job done. But at the end of the day, we cannot expect them to lock them down. We can't. Even though I will say, last year, both Bryce Hall and Brandon Echols held Jamar Chase in check. He had 3 catches for under 20 yards and just 1 touchdown. So this is the first key that I think Jets fans are all understanding is this Jets team going to get home? Is the Jets defensive line going to create pressure? I'm looking at you, Carl Lawson. You're going up against your former team. That the Bengals did not want to bring you back. Let's see you get your first full sack. He had a half a sack against the Browns last week, which is a really clutch sack, by the way. Let's see him get to the quarterback. Now, the next one I have is forced turnovers. This Jets defense has not really forced turnovers. Ashton Davis had the lone turnover last week, which ended up being the game winner. He's a ball hawk. I'd put Ashton Davis on the field a little more. He deserves it. I don't care that he had one snap and had one good play. That play literally won us the football game. There was a lot of things that went into the Jets winning that game. Garrett Wilson, Joe Flacco, Corey Davis busted coverage. We all know the onside kick. But Ashton Davis really stepped up. So how are we going to force turnovers? Can we pick off Joe Burrow? Joe Burrow had 4 interceptions in week 1. He also had a pick last week. So can we pick off Joe Burrow at least more than once? Or at least once early in the game? Can the defense step up to the occasion and force turnovers? Because if that is the case, then this Jets team can set up the offense to get into rhythm early. Because there's too many times last week against the Browns where the defense was on the field for too long. The Browns just running the football down our throat, and we just did not look like the best team out there. It's simple. Just because we won that game against the Browns does not mean we had a good, perfect game, because we didn't. You guys saw my film breakdown yesterday. There's a lot of things that needs to be cleaned up. And the best way to clean it up is by forcing turnovers. Now, it's not easy to force a turnover. You got to get a strip sack. You got to hit them hard and force a fumble and recover it. You got to pick it off. Can they do that? The next key, which is what the Jets did in week 2, is protect Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, when protected, is an elite quarterback. He proved it last week. Stats don't lie. But if you do not protect Joe Flacco, he will have a rough day. When you're a 37-year-old quarterback, you rely on your offensive line to protect you. The great news is it seems like the Jets' offensive line is going to get better as the season goes on, because the more reps that they have together, the better that they will click, the better that they have communication, the better that they understand what needs to be done. So I'm looking at the offensive line in this one, because if the New York Jets needs to understand that protecting Joe Flacco needs to be the priority, and it was at full display last week, because when you give that quarterback some time, Joe Flacco has the whereabouts, he has the anticipation, he has the accuracy, he has the timing to get the job done. So the Bengals have a decent pass rush, but they didn't really get to Cooper Rush as much. So let's see if the offensive line can step up and have 2 back-to-back great games. Next one is establishing a run game. This Jets team hasn't really got the run game going just yet. We've been more of an air passing team through the air. Joe Flacco has back-to-back games with over 300 yards, and they haven't really ground and pounded yet. I want to see this Jets team run the football. Breece Hall had 7 carries for 50 yards, averaging 7.1 yards per carry. I think he deserves double-digit carries minimum. That does not mean you throw Carter to the side, but you got to give both of those running backs some opportunities, man. Elijah Vera Tucker has graded as the best offensive guard in the run game in the NFL through the first 2 weeks. So Elijah Vera Tucker seems to be transitioning well to right guard. Laken Tomlinson is still dominating in the run game, even though he had a really bad week number 1. Max Mitchell has been opening up holes. So the running attack is working, but it seems like this Jets team really wants to give the ball to Garrett Wilson, who is the next guy. The reason why I have feed Garrett Wilson as a key to victory is because this kid, who just won Rookie of the Week, by the way, possesses everything you want in a star receiver. He's going up against another star receiver in Jamar Chase. By the way, Garrett Wilson has more yards and more touchdowns than Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson did in their first 2 games of their rookie campaigns. Do you guys remember what those 2 guys did in their rookie seasons? They lit up the league. Now, can Garrett Wilson replicate that performance? I sure as hell think he can. Because if you watch the film, it's not like Garrett Wilson just had a fluke game. The best part about Garrett Wilson, guys, is the game is not too big for him. There's a lot of times where a rookie in their first couple of games, it seems like they have to adjust to the speed. They need to learn their whereabouts. They need to get used to the NFL. But that's not Garrett Wilson, man. There's a lot of rookie wide receiver in this league that take over the game immediately, and Garrett Wilson checks off that box. He's got that swagger. He's got that spark. He's got the confidence. Garrett Wilson is him, and he could be the most talented player on this entire Jets roster based on what we're seeing so far. Now, I would feed Garrett Wilson, but also if the Bengals start bracketing Garrett Wilson, you got to give Elijah Moore the football because Elijah Moore's not been involved in the game plan as much as I'm liking. Elijah Moore's too talented to not get more than 7 targets a game. Now, if you're going to target Garrett Wilson 14 times, I can't complain, especially in the red zone. The amount of times Garrett Wilson gets open in the red zone is pretty insane. His feel and his spatial awareness to understand the leverage of linebackers and defensive backs to force the defenders to go one way so he can plant his foot in the ground and go the other way to create separation is next level stuff. What Garrett Wilson's doing right now is not normal for rookies. That first touchdown he had on that goal line fade, it seems simple. It's not that simple, guys. For a rookie receiver to show the patience that he had, the stutter step, force the DB's hips to go the opposite direction, to plant his foot in the ground, explode to the goal line, and get that touchdown, he made it look easy. So Garrett Wilson is a guy that needs to be heavily involved. He's a high-volume target guy, and he's a big-time threat for this Jets offense. Now, I put win time of possession on here because now that's a key to victory for any game. But the reason why I said it in this one is because if the Jets offense has the ball more than the Bengals offense, that means the Jets defense is doing their job. Now, I'm not sure who won the time of possession last game, but I would assume the Browns did because they were just milking the clock, running the football down our throats, and we basically did not get in rhythm offensively because the defense was on the field too long. So if the Jets can get the ball back, force punts, and establish a run game, stay ahead of the sticks, win the time of possession, that's a key. Dominate the trenches on both sides of the ball. Now this is it right here. I mean, I basically already talked about the trenches when it comes to blitzing and sacking Burrow and protecting Joe Flacco and establishing a run game. That kind of connection to those 3. Whoever wins the trenches in this will most likely win the game and then also stop the run because Joe Mixon is a very good running back. And just because they have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, we cannot forget about Joe Mixon being a very good running back. And he's coming off a bad game, and you know that they're going to want to feed him. So that's the keys to victory. Let's get into the Jets' X factors. First X factor is going to be Joe Flacco. Can Joe Flacco replicate what he did? Now, I think a lot of Joe Flacco has to do with the players around him, but Joe Flacco did a great job on Sunday. He was not perfect, but he did everything he needed to do to get the Jets the victory. Garrett Wilson, can he replicate that sensational 8 catches, 102 yards, and 2 touchdown performance? Can he replicate it? I sure think he can. Breece Hall, I'm looking at you, rookie. You're coming off your best game of your young NFL career. I think that this is the Breece Hall breakout game. Breece Hall is this close from breaking free on a home run touchdown. This close. I'm sensing it. I'm going to manifest it. I'm going to predict it that Breece Hall has a long touchdown run this game. Whether it's a 40-yard run, a 30-yard run, an 80-yard run, I don't know. But watching the film, Breece Hall is a couple of extra blocks in the second level away from bursting through and getting a long touchdown. So I'm predicting Breece Hall to have a big game. Now, flipping to the defense. The 3 guys on the defense, besides DJ Reed, are all in the trenches. Because these 3 fellas in Carl Lawson, Quinnen Williams and John Franklin Myers, they all need to have consistent pass rush on Joe Burrow. Can Quinnen Williams eat up the interior and get that interior pass rush? Can Carl Lawson get dominant edge rushers on the edge? Can John Franklin Myers be versatile enough to line up on the inside and the outside to get to the quarterback? These three guys needs to get home consistently. Because without these three guys stepping up, I do not like our chances. Because like I said, this Jets team relies on the pass rush, especially when we're going up against a team like the Cincinnati Bengals, who have a terrible offensive line that's given up 13 total sacks. We need to get to the quarterback. Doesn't have to be these three guys. We also have guys like Jermaine Johnson and Michael Clemens and Jacob Martin and Solomon Thomas, who, by the way, is coming off a very good game. Now, Solomon Thomas is not a good pass rusher, but I got to give the credit where credit's due. Because after watching the film, Solomon Thomas was phenomenal against the run. Now, the Jets as a team was not good against the run, but he had 2 or 3 plays where he single-handedly stopped Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and had TFLs. And that was hard to do. So that's why I got to give credit where credit's due to Solomon Thomas. Now, DJ Reed. DJ Reed is one of the highest grade corners in the NFL. Now, can he step up and replicate what he's doing? Now, I'm not going to put Sauce Gardner on here because he's a rookie, so I can't expect him to be dominant. But I'm expecting DJ Reed to be dominant. I really am. He's shown me so much more than just his pass coverage, his tackling ability, his energy. Everything about DJ Reed is screaming the steal of the free agency for the New York Jets. And that's why DJ Reed is an X factor. Because if he can clamp up whoever's in front of him and T. Higgins or Jamar Chase, get an interception, force a fumble, do whatever he needs to do, then I like the Jets. DJ has been balling, man. Hell yeah. Jets Forever says, Cap, Solomon is ass. Film don't lie, buddy. I'm not basing off Solomon's career. I'm talking about his game on Sunday against the Bengals. Against the Browns. He had multiple great plays. The film does not lie. Don't talk about his career right now. We're talking about his time with the New York Jets. I know Breece Hall is next up. The dude got it. Hell yeah, Ronald. I love DJ. Me too, Andrew. That guy is special. DJ Reed looks like he is special, man. The thing that I love about DJ Reed is he plays with a sense of urgency. He plays with heart. He plays with grit. He plays with this confidence in him. And I strongly believe that he is one of the most underrated corners in the entire NFL. Every time I tweet about him, I always have Seahawks fans or 49ers fans in my comments saying, damn, I don't know why we gave up on this player. I do not know why we gave up on this player. So, Jets fans, get hyped up because the Jets have two legit corners, baby. In Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. And that's why he is an X factor for me. Is there anybody else on this list that you guys would add? Because I feel like there are some players that you can also mention, like an offensive lineman or a tight end, a safety, a linebacker. I mean, you don't want to say everybody on the Jets team, but who else could be an X factor for the Jets this game? What about Corey Davis? Corey Davis, listen, he definitely showed up. He had one really good catch to give the Jets first down on 2nd and long, and then he had that busted coverage. Now, if Corey Davis gets open because they're focusing on Garrett Wilson and they're focusing on Garrett and Elijah Moore and it opens up Corey Davis, you got to give him the ball. Got to give him the ball. Because Corey Davis is a reliable vet. He's a reliable vet. So we'll see who else is going to step up to the occasion. All right, I just want to share my screen real quick and show you what I'm talking about with Solomon Thomas, because some people seems not to believe what I have to say. Because I'm not lying. Stop looking at the box score and look at the film, please, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on, I'm going to just quickly add, because I watched a film and there was 2 plays that Solomon Thomas completely blew up. Now, Jordan Whitehead gets credit for the TFL here, but you also got to look at what Solomon Thomas did. I have to give credit where it's due. Solomon Thomas is right here. So, for Solomon Thomas to get off the ball like that, ball snapped, the right guard, he's way by him. Look at the right guard. He puts him on his knee. He puts the right guard on his knee immediately, and Solomon Thomas is already in the backfield. And he's right there to meet Jordan Whitehead. Now, Whitehead gets credit for this tackle for loss, but I also think that Solomon Thomas gets credit. This is why you do not look at the box score, ladies and gentlemen, because the box score on defense is skewed. You have to watch the film to see it. There was another couple plays where Solomon Thomas did this type of thing in the run game, but this is the only one I could find right now on Twitter. So, can Solomon Thomas continue this type of play? And shout out to Jordan Whitehead, man. This is why Whitehead is so important in the run game. Whitehead is definitely skeptical in the pass game, in coverage, and he needs to improve. But look at Whitehead's play recognition. He plugs the hole. He knows where the ball's going and immediately gets home with Solomon Thomas to meet him. So that's what I meant about, in case people were wondering what I'm talking about when I'm saying Solomon Thomas impressed me on film. These are the type of plays. So let's hope that the Jets can see that type of play, because we need as many rough run stuffs as possible. We need as many run stuffers as possible. And it seems like, without Foley Fatukasi, we don't really have a bona fide run stuffer on this team anymore. Maybe Solomon Thomas is that guy. I don't think he's going to be as good as Foley was at stopping the run, but it's a good sign with him early on. Yeah, I was wrong about him. The stats, TFLs, you're right. That's the play I was talking about. That got credited to Whitehead, but based on that film, I'm more impressed with what Thomas had to do than Whitehead on that play. Because I was wrong about the TFLs. I was basing the TFLs on what I saw in film of him blowing people up and getting home, but I guess they credited other players, even though he won his matchup and did his job. So these are the X factors I got, guys. Nicholas also says CJ Mosley. Absolutely, man. CJ Mosley is a player that needs to, continue what he's doing, keeping the defense in line, making sure that the defense is really good at communication, understanding where the ball is going to go, calling out the plays, and be that captain. Michael Carter is the X factor, Richie. Love that dude. And Garrett also. But we can have a rush attack like Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Yeah, man. I mean, listen. The Jets have 2 legit running backs in Hall and Carter. We really, really do. And the best part about that dynamic duo of Hall and Carter is that they complement each other so well. They're not the same type of runners. Hall has home run potential. He can take it to the yard. He can absolutely explode. Carter is a between the tackles type of guy, pick up extra yardage, and the pass catcher. They complement each other so well. Score prediction, Richie. I say 24-27 Jets. I hope so. 28-24 Jets, Hennessy. That's my score prediction. Feed Ruckert. I need a 1,000-yard tight end. He's that. I'm down Jets forever, but not going to lie. His only target is a drop. Now, I believe in Ruckert. I want him more involved, but he had an opportunity and he fumbled it. He had one target and he had a drop. Now, I'm not concerned, but let's see the Rook capitalize when the ball goes to his ways. Berrios is always on point in the jet sweeps. Yeah, he is, man. He had a beautiful, 22-yard rush, because when you give Berrios space like that, you give him an opportunity to be in like a punt return or a kickoff return. Our dual running back scheme has so much potential. It really, really does, man. Really does. And it really is interesting that the Jets are abandoning the run. And I think that has a lot to do with the Jets playing from behind throughout the first 2 games. But if the Jets can play defense early and get a lead, man, all of a sudden it's going to unlock this running game. Because I want to see a game where we can give the ball split carries between Hall and Carter, 15 apiece. 30 attempts, 15 apiece for Hall and Carter. Give me that. Now, the Jets are going to have to be playing with a lead in order for that to happen. You feel me? So, now when it comes to this Jets-Bengals game, guys, we also have to realize that it's not going to be easy. And we have to ground ourselves and remember that this game... Now, I don't want to get into my negative thoughts, but this is a big test because we're coming off such a big win. And the Bengals are such a good team, man, where there's a chance we lose. There's a chance we lose by a lot. But it's up to this Jets franchise to really take that winning momentum that they have and instill that confidence in these players to really provide and stack up good days. This is such a big test for the identity of this franchise. Now, I will say this. If the Jets lose on Sunday, I do not think the sky is falling. If the Jets lose, I don't want Jets fans to start panicking again and say that we're the same old Jets, and here we go again. I really don't want that to happen because we're living on a high. We're coming off an historic win. Now, I don't want Jets fans to start pouting if we lose this game because it's a long season. We have a winnable game next week against the Steelers, and I'm not saying I'm expecting the Jets to lose, but I want to prepare Jets fans that we're riding on this high, and now we can't expect the Jets to go out there and dominate. We're going up against the AFC champions in this game. Do you feel me? Now, obviously, we'll be upset if we lose on Sunday, but do not make it seem like the sky is falling. You want to know why? You know what this season's all about? We haven't even seen him yet. Zachary Wilson. Zach Wilson hasn't played yet. I love you, Joe Flacco. You're doing a great job. But Zach Wilson is set to return against the Steelers. So if we lose against the Bengals with Joe Flacco and fall to 1-2, I'm not going to be freaking out. Because if we could beat the Steelers and go 2-2, that's all I ever wanted. Seeing the schedule of the AFC North to start off the season, I always said if we can get out of that game 2-2, get out of the first 4 games 2-2, that is the best case scenario. Obviously, you prefer 3-1, but I'm trying to be realistic here. I don't want Jets fans to start being like delusional and biased towards this franchise. We have to remember that we have a backup quarterback. We have a young team that's learning their identity, and they have a really good chance to win a lot of football games this year if everything goes their way. We still haven't even seen Zach Wilson yet. That's going to really tell this team where they're at. V-Man with a $2 donation says week 1 was for Sauce. Week 2 was for Wilson. Week 3 for JJ. Okay. V-Man is predicting the rookies to have their games as they were drafted. So week 1 had Sauce Gardner breaking out. Week 2 had Garrett Wilson breaking out. Week 3 is going to have Jermaine Johnson breaking out with a couple of sacks and TFLs and dominance. Okay, I see you. I love it. Frankie with the $5 super chat. I appreciate the donation, my friend. Jets and be 4-5 or 5-4. We can win next 2, split with Pats and Fins, beat Broncos, Green Bay, and Buffalo are probably L's. Playoffs or bust, no excuses. I will say this, and I said it before the season began. If we head into the bye week 4-5, the playoffs are on the table. Seriously. Based on the schedule that we have, if we can get into the bye week with a 4-5 record, that is ridiculously amazing for the Jets. Now, I know some Jets fans and some NFL fans be like, why do you want a losing record? We have to realize the situation. This team is about building for the future. We're trying to build a sustainable winner here. And the schedule is brutal to start off the year. It doesn't look as hard as it did before the season began after seeing how all these teams are, looking, especially with the Bengals coming up and the Steelers. Broncos haven't looked all that good just yet. But if we can go 4-5 heading into our week 10 bye, then I'm starting the playoff campaign. I truly am. Frankie, I appreciate the $5 donation, my friend. So the Jets have a big opportunity here to take advantage of a struggling offensive line. And I said it all stream already. Joe Flacco needs to stay upright and replicate his performance last week. And the Jets defense has to exploit the struggling Bengals offensive line because Joe Burrow is a great quarterback. He has not had the start to the season that he'd like, but he's coming off a Super Bowl run. If we can force the Bengals to go 0-3, I don't know what Jets fans are going to do after that. Because we all know that Bengals fans still have PTSD from last year. They will not admit it. But they have PTSD from the Mike White game last year. They won't admit it, but the Mike White game still haunts them. 405 yards, backup quarterback. We beat the Bengals at home. Now we have the Bengals back home again. Can we do that again with the backup quarterback? Now, the game plan last year against the Bengals, you know that the Bengals are going to be prepared for that. So how can the Jets change up their game plan? You remember what the Jets did against the Bengals? It was a check down masterpiece. It was Michael Carter on the flat, Ty Johnson in the flat, underneath. And it worked. Bengals had no answers. Michael Carter was a dog. And our defense made plays. Shaq Lawson, shout out to Shaq Lawson on that pick he had. So this Jets football team has an opportunity to prove to the league that we are ready to go. I'm really excited to see how this team comes out, man. Because the win that we had on Sunday, it's being talked a lot about. I don't think the Jets are getting as much credit because they're talking more about the Browns' collapse than the Jets taking advantage of their collapse. Because how about the Jets? Let's talk about the Jets taking advantage of that Browns collapse. They missed the point after. Jets and Flacco, they form a busted coverage. Corey Davis pretends he's going on an out route. He cuts down the field. Touchdown. How about the execution on special teams to get that onside kick? You have any idea how unlikely it is to get an onside kick in this league? That was perfect execution. Absolutely phenomenal execution from the special teams unit to get that ball back. And then for the Jets offense to go back onto the field with a minute left, to go down the field with no timeouts and get a touchdown to win the football game, and then for the Jets to get an interception. How about we talk about that? The Jets outplayed the Browns in the final 2 minutes of the game. I don't want to hear that the Browns collapsed and the Browns lost this game. The Jets won that game. The Jets absolutely took advantage of a bad franchise thinking that they won a little too early. They took their foot off the gas, and the Jets knew that this football game is not over just yet. So how about we talk about the Jets taking advantage of that and show that they have a heart and show that they play with grit and show that they know that this game's not over till it's over. And you know that that type of performance is going to instill confidence in this team because it's a lot better when you have a young franchise believing they can win coming off a victory like that instead of just having a belief of a hypothetical scenario of them winning and they're losing and they're like, okay, like say we lost against the Browns and we're 0-2 going into this game. They don't really have a taste of winning yet. They just have to force themselves to believe they can win. Now they don't have to force themselves to believe they can win. They got a taste of it. And everybody saying the Jets got lucky doesn't understand proper execution in the final 2 minutes of a game. That onside kick was not lucky. That was phenomenal execution. Will Parks on the outside, knowing his job, and the Jets simply wanted it more. You see Amari Cooper on that play and the onside kick, it seemed like he didn't care. The Jets offense needed to go down the field and get a touchdown. How are the Jets lucky of them getting that game-winning touchdown? I would love anybody to tell me how the Jets are lucky. How did the Jets do that? The Jets were lucky for Joe Flacco to go down the field and get the game-winning touchdown? Or was it excellent play calling from Mike LaFleur? Or was it excellent offensive line play from the offensive line to protect Joe Flacco on the game-winning drive? Or was it an excellent route and catch from Garrett Wilson on those 2 catches in the game-winning drive? How about we give the Jets their props instead of saying they got lucky and the Browns gave them that game? Because that's just not true. That's just the same old Jets narrative and not giving the Jets their dues. And that's okay. The Jets got to prove themselves before they get their respect. But it just makes me laugh. It really does. Hey, what if the Bengals are a fluke team? What if they had a fluke Super Bowl run? Joe Burrow hasn't done anything this year. Their offensive line looks trash. They lost to Mitch Trubisky and Cooper Rush. Why can't the Jets take advantage of that? Now, the Bengals will be ready to go. They are going to be a franchise that's hungry for a W, but the Jets are going to be even hungrier. They want to go 2-1. Don't get it twisted, man. This Bengals team was right there with the Jets in recent memory of being a bad franchise. And the Bengals did a great job of getting Joe Burrow, drafting him at Jamar Chase, surrounding Burrow with talent. They have a good coach in Zach Taylor, and they went to the Super Bowl last year. But they're still the Cincinnati Bengals to me, man, until they prove that they can do it on a consistent basis instead of one season. Just saying. Joe Flacco proved that if you give that man time in the pocket, he could pick apart a defense. He showed anticipation. He showed accuracy. He showed touch. He wasn't perfect. There were some plays he'd like to have back. But the Jets got playmakers. They got guys that can get open. So it's time for this Jets team to prove their worth. They have not proven anything just yet. This Jets team has a lot of proving to do. And I am not claiming the Jets to be back or the Jets to be a team to be afraid of just yet. We're coming off 1 win. So Jets fans, we need to ground ourselves and understand that we still have a lot of proving to do before we can go and talk our smack. We have a head coach who's taken receipts, who put his name out there, who is expecting to get ridiculed if this Jets team continues to lose. Which is why I'm so excited for the rest of the season to play out. Because I have so much confidence in this Jets team. I really do. That player right there is a star on the horizon, man. We have young players on this team that Jets fans should be excited about. Listen to this. The biggest difference from the Jets' previous regimes to this one that Saleh always talks about. And there he is on cue. This Jets team is not bought. It's being built. Now, the unfortunate reality about building a team properly is it takes time. Why does it take time? Because we're relying on young players like Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore and Breece Hall and Michael Carter and Zach Wilson. All year 1 and year 2 players to carry this team this season. I want to give you guys an opportunity to look at this in this perspective. You see what the Buffalo Bills are doing? You see how good that team is, how much it makes me sick to my stomach? The Bills fans had patience. They drafted Josh Allen. Josh Allen looked trash in year number 1. Josh Allen, year number 2, he looked okay, but didn't look like a superstar. But they didn't give up on Josh Allen. They continuously built around him. They got Josh Allen a playmaker in Stephon Diggs for year 3, and Josh Allen to the same coaching staff. And now Allen is in year number 5. That defense in the Buffalo Bills, they drafted White, Hyde, and Poyer, all those guys in that defense, all those guys in that Bills culture. They've been around. They've built that team through the draft and developed them, and continuity matters. What this Jets team is doing, it's going to take some time, guys, but they got the talent to build this team properly. They got the playmakers in Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore, Breece Hall, Michael Carter. They got the offensive line young studs in Elijah Vera Tucker, Laken Tomlinson, the veteran, Max Mitchell looking like a promising young talent. They got the guys on defense, Sauce Gardner, Jermaine Johnson. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because Jets fans were impatient because we've sucked forever. And we have. And we don't want to hear that rebuilding excuse any longer. But the reality is, this Jets team has a vision of long-term sustainable success. And you're going to have some bad games when you're playing the youth, when you're relying on rookies like Sauce and Garrett and Jermaine and Breece and Max Mitchell and Michael Clemens and your 2 guys of Carter and all these young players to provide big impacts. You're really developing their future. I think that this Jets team has playoff aspirations next year. I strongly, genuinely believe that. Year 3 of Zach Wilson, with year 3 Elijah Moore and Michael Carter, with year 2 of Sauce and Garrett Wilson and Jermaine and Breece, and then whatever rookie class that we get. I hope you guys are understanding where I'm coming from here. It takes time to build a franchise that's going to be able to compete year in and year out. Hence, what the Buffalo Bills have done. They're in year 5. We're in year 2. We're 3 years behind the Bills. That's how I'm looking at it. If this regime works, if the Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh regime works, when we're in year number 5, I mean, it should click before then. But I'm just comparing it to today's Bills because they're just a perfect example of how I want this Jets team to build their team. We should look like they did it. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals are another team. They hire Zach Taylor. They draft Joe Burrow. They build around their young quarterback. They get him a rookie sensation, Jamar Chase. And they take over the league last year. It took them quicker to do it. Now, can the Jets turn that page? This season for me has always been about being competitive, being in every single game, playing meaningful games in December, and not looking like the same old Jets. And proving that Zach Wilson's making strides and proving that Robert Saleh is the future of this franchise. That's what I want to see after the season's all wrapped up. Next season, I want this Jets team to go all in for the damn playoffs and compete in the AFC. That's really where my mindset's at with this Jets franchise. I'm not expecting immediate dominance. I'm not expecting this team to go out there and win the Super Bowl this year, as great as it sounds. But that's really how my realistic viewpoint is of this Jets team and where their trajectory is in their timeline of winning. So I hope you guys can relate to that. But getting back to the task at hand, I went on a tangent about the future of this team. I want this Jets team to win on Sunday, and I think they can. But I also know that the Bengals are going to show up and really play a really sound, fundamental football game, unless their offensive line still sucks. If the Bengals' offensive line really does stink, like they have the first 2 weeks again in week 3, then the Jets have a chance to take advantage of a struggling offensive line. Because the Bengals revamped that O-line this offseason, but the most important thing about offensive line play is continuity, having snaps together. And it's showing that you can't just buy a whole offensive line and expect it to be solved. They need to be able to have reps together, which is another reason why I think our offensive line is going to get better and better and better. Hopefully all 5 of them can stay healthy as the season goes on. Elijah Vera Tucker looking like an absolute dog. He's on his way to having a Pro Bowl season. Max Mitchell as a 4th-round rookie is looking great. Connor McGovern looks like the only weak link of this O-line. And I'll take that. Right? If our center is the only player on the offensive line that is struggling, that's a good offensive line. If you have 4 out of 5 offensive linemen that is playing good football, you're in a good situation. Now, I would like to see Connor McGovern do well. I'm not making excuses for him. He needs to do better. Those penalties are inexcusable, and he's been terrible this season. And I would like him to be replaced next year. But Jets fans should be excited about the performance of the offensive line in week number 2, man, especially the way they looked in week 1. George Fant had a bounce-back game. Hopefully he's okay because his knee is definitely acting up on him after he had that knee procedure in the offseason. Lincoln Tomlinson bounced back. AVT looks like a star that we all were so excited about getting him in the draft last year. And Max Mitchell's looking like a 4th-round revelation, man. Now, CJ Uzomah was limited in practice today, which is a good sign of him returning. That we need as much help as possible, so CJ Uzomah going up against his former team would be huge. Oh, man, Robert Saleh, just go get that dub. John Franklin Myers, we need you to get a sack. I know that you're a little banged up too. We need this Jets team to come out fighting for every yard, for every inch. Go get that dub. Go get it. Guys, if you're enjoying the show, please help me out. Let's get to 100 likes. We have 71 likes with only 124 people tuning in. Please run up that like button so we can get to 100 likes before we finish off the stream. If you're enjoying the show, you can help out the channel by simply smashing that like button. And we're also so close to 13K subscribers. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button so you get all the up-to-date content here on Jets Media. Thank you guys so much. I greatly appreciate you guys. There's a lot of fun things happening on the channel and the Jets. Garrett Wilson, throughout his first 2 games with the New York Jets, has 12 catches, 154 yards, and 2 touchdowns on 24 targets. This man is on his way to making history for the greatest Jets rookie receiver of all time. Simply is, man. If he can keep doing what he's doing, he's going to put up big-time numbers. I think Garrett Wilson can get well over 1,000 yards, well over 10 touchdowns. I think he can get 8 more touchdowns in 15 more games. Garrett Wilson, buy his stock now. Now, if there's one guy that I'm expecting to break out this game, I already said it earlier in the stream, but I'm going to say it again for anybody that's just tuning in. We saw the Garrett Wilson breakout. The player I'm expecting to break out this week, who had a good game last week, Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall is going to get over 70 yards rushing and a touchdown. I'm expecting big things from the rookie running back. I'm ready to go. Ready to go. Richie, I think there's some receipts we need to keep from NFL Films. Oh, yeah, guys. If you guys did not see that, please make sure you do. I uploaded a video earlier today. NFL Films reached out to me to grant them access to use my reaction on their new show on Amazon Prime. I signed a waiver for it, a release statement. They used it, and they roasted me and the Jets. So go check it out. It's really funny. I'll be keeping the receipt. If the Jets turn it around, the Jets start winning ball games, you know I'm going to have fun with that. You know I'm going to have fun with that. So I'm really excited for this Jets game, guys. Let's finish off the stream by everybody giving the score predictions in the chat. Score predictions in the chat. Let's hear it. Who's going to win? And then we'll see who gets the best score prediction after the game on Sunday. Score predictions. Fire it away, baby. Fire away the score predictions. Who will be on target? 31-24 Jets. 30-24 Jets. 28-20 Jets. 63-0 Jets. 24-21 Jets. All right. Seems like everyone's excited and they think the Jets are going to win. Now, I'm used to the Jets fans to think the other way about this team. Of course, we have Modine giving his perspective of the Jets. Modine also picked the Browns to beat the Jets, by the way, just so you guys know. That's right, Modine. I remember that. Bengals 14-13. 30-27 Jets. All right. Seems like Jets fans are excited, man. They're pumped up. Let's go prove the rule. Prove the world that this Jets team is different, baby. Come on, baby. Let's get this dub. What game do you think Sauce gets his first pick? This game. This game. This game. Sauce Gardner gets his first pick. And the Jets need to ball out and get to the quarterback. All right, guys, if you did not already, please do me a favor and hit that like button. We got 111 people with 84 likes. I appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning into the show. Let's manifest another Jets W. I'll be live for the game on Sunday, of course, giving you guys my live play-by-play reaction. You guys already know the vibes. And I'll catch you guys in my next video. Let's go, Jets. Peace out.